Why are there so many bad dad jokes? Unoriginal, predictable, and often quite corny one-liners that sometimes do make us laugh, but other times make us cringe. It might be a sexist assumption, but dads get easily set in their ways. Oftentimes they know better, and frequently they jump to assumptions. Abraham is called the father of faith, the patriarch of the three major religions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, with each tracing their lineage all the way back to him. Well, like many fathers, Abraham too believed that he knows better, and he too oftentimes jumped to conclusions. Remember that story when Abraham believed that God actually wants him to kill his son Isaac? Abraham heard a voice in his head, a voice he assumed was the voice of God, and it took an angel from heaven to stop him from making a terrible mistake. Yes, I know some of my fundamentalist friends will tell me that it was the voice of God, that God was testing Abraham. But you know what? I am 100% certain it was not the voice of the God of Jesus. That incident isn't the only example of Abraham making stupid and dangerous assumptions. There is that other story about him and Sarah assuming that God can't really expect them to have a child of their own at their advanced age. So Abraham slept with Sarah's young maiden Hagar, and thus Ishmael was born. And if you come through the Abraham narrative in the book of Genesis, you will find a few more examples of his rushed, not always thoughtful assumptions. Today, we hear again from the 18th chapter of Genesis. The three visitors left Abraham's tent, and the Lord said, I must go down to Sodom and Gomorrah and see for myself if they really are as wicked as people say they are. I mean to find out. Here, once again, Abraham jumps to a premature conclusion. He makes an assumption that is not at all justified by what he just heard. When God said, I must go and find out for myself, Abraham heard, I must go down and punish them. What follows is a curious bargaining dialogue, where Abraham tells God that these two cities should not be destroyed if at least 50 righteous people live there, or 40, or 30, or 20, or at least 10 of them. He continues to assume that God really wants to destroy Sodom, even though God says over and over in this short passage, 6 times in total, I will not destroy it. Sadly, in this chapter, Abraham's assumption becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Now, many of the modern Bible scholars point out to a geological evidence suggesting the Dead Sea region, where the cities are believed to have been located, is prone to earthquakes and other seismic activity. They propose that perhaps a natural disaster, such as an earthquake or a meteor impact, might have been the cause of their destruction, and that this biblical story is just an ancient attempt to answer the ever-valid question that so many of us are still asking. Why, oh God? Why is this happening? The fact that Sodom and Gomorrah eventually do get destroyed in this story says more about the authors and Abraham's understanding of God than it does about God. And it's not really an understanding as much as it is an assumption that contradicts God's 6-time repeated reassurance, I will not destroy it. It's the same foolish assumption that leads some Christians to say, hate the sin, but love the sinner. It's the same foolish assumption that allows many Christians to treat women as second-class members of their churches, meant to sing, to cook, to fundraise, but, God forbid, to preach or to govern. We all know what an assumption makes out of you and me, right? Let us stop turning our ancient religious stories into some cringe dad jokes. Amen. Hi everyone, thank you for watching and reflecting with me. I don't want to assume anything, so please let me know what you think in the comments below. If you enjoyed this reflection, click on the like symbol and make sure that you subscribe to my YouTube channel. Perhaps even share the link to this video on your Facebook, Instagram, or other social media platforms. Thank you, and may God bless you every single day.